Welcome, in front of me is a Motorola Moto G9 Power, and today I'll go over unboxing along with an overview of this device. So starting off, obviously this will be the box that it comes in. Nothing really special, just I would say kind of like a typical Motorola boxing, which seems a little bit budget, but without further ado, let's just pop it open. There we go, just drop that to the side, and nothing really holding it, just a single Motorola sticker. And inside we get the phone right at the forefront, so let's just pop it out. Now it's already in the case, as you can see, so there's already a case applied to it, which I always really like when companies do include a casing for the device. It's a little thing, doesn't really cost much, but it just adds to, I would say, experience. That's kind of weird. I do kind of feel like this is a Samsung charger almost. No, never mind, it is a Motorola and it does have a logo, but for some reason it kind of makes me think about the Samsung S20. But anyway, so let's quickly look at where is any marking on this charger. So, oh, there it is. And this is a 20-watt charger apparently, so fairly nice. Maybe I can bring it up closer, the camera can actually pick it up, so you should be able to see it right around here that it's 20 watt. Okay, anyway, just drop that to the side right over here. And then in here we've got most likely nothing important. Nope, nothing important. Some ejectable, semi-important, I guess, paperwork, and nothing else. Okay, well, trash. And also, obviously, we get the cable. Now, this is a Type C, I assume. Yep, Type C to Type A, just a typical thing. Now, can I drop it back in here before it just gets out of control? And obviously, the phone. Come on, get in there. Whatever. Okay, so then we got the phone. Let's peel that off. Can I peel it off? There we go. Voila. So let's power it on. Yep, there we go. So we got a 6.8 inch display on here, and this is just a typical LCD IPS display, so nothing really special here. And also the resolution on it isn't anything special. It is a 720.
Hello, Moto.
Gee, that was loud, but the actual speaker sounded fairly good. So it is a 720 by 1640 p display, so basically a 720p display. With a 83.1% screen to body ratio and also 263 pixels per inch. Now, I would say, looking at it right now, it seems like a fairly good display. It is vibrant, it is fairly sharp, although you won't be getting anything super sharp, kind of like you would get on an 1080p at least display. And it won't look as great as, for instance, an OLED would. But when you consider the price tag of this device being around $200, I would say that's a fairly decent trade-off, considering how much you actually pay for this device. So while this is actually loading up, we can go over the cameras, which there is several of them here. Now, not all of them will be great. I haven't even tested it, but I am fairly confident in that statement, so I'm gonna show it off quickly. So if we flip it over, we have a triple camera setup, as you can see, and the main sensor is a 64 megapixel wide sensor. Then we got a 2 megapixel macro and 2 megapixel depth. So in theory, or in practice I should say, we only got a single sensor, which is the 64 megapixel. It will do better macro shots than the macro lens, considering it's only 2 megapixels. And the depth sensor, for the most part, from what I have tested, usually just makes the photos come out trash, and I would strongly suggest to not even use it. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's just flip it on and come on, unlock. Oh god, seriously, I have to swipe it almost all the way up to unlock it. That's a little bit annoying. But anyway, let's open up the camera, allow to whatever trash it asks me for. Let's max out the brightness as well. And get out of my face, there we go. So this is the normal lens right now, I assume. Let me also quickly check what settings we're running here. So right now we are at video size full HD. We have also full HD 60 frames and full HD, not sure. Okay, so we have different aspect ratios. I guess the one without a frame rate is at 30 frames, but I'm just guessing, probably just as well as you. Okay, so in here we got pictures. So it is resolution 4 megapixels recommended using a 16 megapixel sensor. Can I change that? I guess not. We go rear camera. Okay, so there is 64 megapixel. So that's the default one. It looks like, so it's good. So let's go back, bring our plant in, and just capture a photo here. Now I can already see the processor is a little bit struggling with this, so it's a little bit of a shame. Okay, so for a normal photo right here, this is looking okay. The sharpness, it does kind of fall off at the backside, which is kind of weird considering it shouldn't be. If it's just using the 64 megapixel without any kind of crap going on in the background, it should come out sharp, and then the background should have been blurred out like it is. But it looks like it's using probably some kind of AI to blur it out to make it look better. A bokeh effect, you know, you get to keep it on everything. But overall, the quality here is decent, I would say. You can zoom in, as you can see, and see these kind of strands almost and the white stuff, which I would say it looks fairly decent. Now if we go to the macro lens, which is this little flower right here, I believe this is where things will go super bad, and let's actually just capture it. Okay, so this is gonna be the macro right over here. Honestly, I would say it's comparable. You can quickly switch between them. On this one we can zoom in closer, which is a little bit odd, I would say. But quality, it's about the same, honestly, with the difference of this one just having much smaller field of view comparing to this one, while the quality in here is just gonna be, maybe not the quality, the actual like resolution of this photo is way bigger, gives you a bigger field of view with basically the same quality of a macro that you get from the actual macro lens. Now I do have to say I am quite surprised with the 2 megapixel macro here. It did manage to keep up with the dedicated 64 megapixel sensor, which I would say is a fairly rare thing to see, but I guess it did happen here. Now if I can actually find also the portrait mode in here, we can test the, what is it called, there we go, the depth sensor, which I assume it's going to be terrible, but let's just check it out. I can already see that this is going to be terrible. Oh, gee. So yeah, it works even worse than I expected. I mean, it's not the worst I have seen, but the implementations of it aren't necessarily the best ones. So not sure if this will be visible on the camera. I could definitely see it when I was actually trying to capture the photo and I was looking for the focus. So basically the main focus point was in the middle, somewhere right here, and if you actually look in it, that's basically what's in sharpness. So this main point right here is sharp, while everything outside is getting more and more blurry. So even right here, the bottom of this plant is already getting blurry, even though it's like a millimeter further. It shouldn't look like this. And specifically right here, you can see that it has like this distinct, almost distinct line right here where it becomes blurry from actual sharp. And obviously it just kind of messes around with the sharpness and blurriness, considering certain things like this. For instance, strand right here, the white one, you can see it starts sharp, goes out here, gets blurry, starts sharp, gets blurry. So that's props to the depth sensor that basically makes the photos look worse than they should. So if you're taking photos, stay away from the portrait mode, because that's the mode that would actually use the depth sensor, and the depth sensor doesn't really help in terms of photos. So now that being said, let's touch upon other small parts of this device. Let's also see, go back to max brightness, because why would it stay at the one that I have set? So moving on, with this cameras, at least at the back, you can shoot at 1080p 30 and also 60 frames, which you have seen in the settings. And also at the front we have a 16 megapixel sensor that can shoot at 1080p 30 frames. And I can quickly also show it off. If I can find, oh, there we go, there's a switch. So my face right here, and oh god, that is terrible. Let me quickly go to photo, maybe this will make it better. Yeah, this is beyond bad. So overall the colors are completely all over the place, I would say. I almost look like I've been photoshopped into this photo. Little bit less here. Oops, more apparent on, come on, where is it? There we go. More apparent right here. This the amount of like blur that it's going on here is just astonishing almost, and obviously didn't do a fairly great job, and oh, it looks weird. I don't know how to describe it, but something is off about this photo, and it's on my face. But other than that, the quality was mediocre at best, I would say as well. But overall the photos felt really weird there. So the selfie right here isn't the greatest, I would say. Now when it comes down to additional parts of this device, so it comes with a Snapdragon 662, so just kind of like a budget to mid-range processor, I would say. Also has a single option in terms of storage and RAM. So you have the 128 gigabyte storage with 4 gigabytes of RAM, which I would say is fairly okay for the price that this device comes in, and also with the fact that you can expand it using an SD card, probably to like about a terabyte or half a terabyte at least. I would say this is more than enough. And then it does have a whopping 6000 mAh battery, which should keep this device going for a fairly decent amount of time. And with that you also get, like I said before, the 20-watt charger, which will charge your device fairly reliably, and I would say semi-quick. Won't be the quickest one, but still it's going to be better than Samsung's. So apart from that, we do have a fingerprint sensor at the back. So if we flip it, the Motorola logo right here is the fingerprint sensor. We do also have an NFC, and we do also have a 3.5mm jack if you want to use your headphones to listen to music. Now, there were no included headphones with the device itself, so if you wanted to have them, I guess you have to get, I don't know, some old ones, or if you have a pair of cans that you want to use, then that will probably be better than usually whatever the manufacturer includes in the box. And apart from that, there's not much more to say. The device seems to be okay. Runs like you would expect at its price range with this annoyance. Can you unlock? Thank you. Now the locking screen right here is super annoying, as you see. But other than that, the device runs, I would say, smoothly for its price range. It's not really lagging too much. And the back cameras were doing okay, at least the 64 megapixel ones. The macro and depth I would probably not use myself. Specifically the depth sensor, I would literally stay away from it. I would probably tape it up as well if I could, just so the phone cannot use it. But other than that, the macro was doing okay. I guess there might be some circumstances where macro might come out better than the 64 megapixel wide sensor and capturing details up close. But other than that, the 64 megapixel is a great sensor right here. And probably would have been better to not include the 2 megapixel sensors, both of them, and just save a little bit more on the price. But as we all know, manufacturers can't help themselves but include 2 useless sensors just so they can brag about how many cameras they have on their phones, and that is one of those cases right here. But other than that, for $200 you get a fairly decent device. You get a case, decent charger, and overall a fairly stock Android on here, which I do say as a compliment. I don't really like the bloated look of certain devices where they have their own skins for Androids and stuff like that. Here we got just a typical Android, minimal amount of bloatware. The only app that you find that is additionally here is, for the most part, the Moto app, which in my opinion usually provides some benefits rather than drawbacks. It's not really a trash application that you just want to get rid of. It does have settings that you can customize, things like the gesture navigations and certain other accessibility features, so it's a fairly decent one here. And other than that, it is a fairly clean Android experience. But yeah, that being said, it's a fairly good device, and if you're looking for a budget device, you can look into this one. It's okay. But that being said, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.